Hey, how's it going? I am MisterBo, and today we have some information about what is possibly coming up next for Crash Bandicoot. In fact, what the new Crash game this year is going to be, and what we could be seeing next year as well. Now, before I get into this, if you do enjoy the video, then click the like button to show your support and to spread this out to more people. If you aren't already, subscribe, and if you do, also tap that bell icon so you're notified when my future videos go live. So before we get into this new information, I will say take this all with a grain of salt. Yes, the source of this leaked information is pretty reliable, and I'll go into that in just a minute. Things do change in development, things can be pushed back, so what we're going over here may never even see the light of day. So where is this information coming from, and what is the information? Well, to begin with, the information is coming from TheGamingRevolution over on Twitter. Now, TheGamingRevolution is a pretty big name in terms of the Call of Duty community. He has predicted and got right a ton of leaks to do with Call of Duty, including leaking out a ton of information about Modern Warfare before it even came out. I believe before that, he had even leaked out what Call of Duty Zombie Maps DLCs were going to be coming out for Black Ops 4, and he even leaked out Call of Duty Modern Warfare's Battle Royale game about 6 months ago, and as you know, Warzone only launched last week. So the information that the Gaming Revolution has had has usually been pretty spot on, which is the reason why I'm actually covering this stuff, because if it was just from someone random on Twitter, then I probably wouldn't make a video on it. But because this guy has managed to get a ton of stuff right in the past, I think it's pretty much safe to assume that this stuff is indeed legit. Now, I will leave links in the description below to the Gaming Revolution's Twitter, as well as his YouTube channel, so you can go and follow him and see this tweet for yourself. So what did he tweet out? Well, he tweeted out this yesterday. Some Activision games in the work. Tony Hawk Pro Skater Remastered. Now, we've kind of known that a Tony Hawk's game might be in development for a little bit now. Not only has the Gaming Revolution sort of teased this by posting pictures of Tony Hawk's on Twitter, but last year one of the pro skaters who was featured in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5 in a podcast interview confirmed she was working on a new game. That section of the podcast was then cut out, and then just last week a band over on Facebook posted they had just submitted 5 songs to the brand new 2020 Tony Hawk's game, which was then swiftly removed. So it does indeed seem we are going to be getting a Tony Hawk's Pro Skater Remastered, which is a little bit strange as we've kind of already had that with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater HD, but as soon as we get any more information about what this new Tony Hawk's game is, I'm going to be covering it here because I am very excited. I was a huge fan of the original Tony Hawk's Pro Skater games, and then the following games up until around like American Wasteland. He then says Call of Duty 2020 is codenamed Project Zeus, and what we know about this Call of Duty comes from Jason Schreier over on Kotaku, who has said that Sledgehammer Games and Raven Software were developing this brand new Cold War Call of Duty. Obviously, something happened in the development, and that forced Activision to make Treyarch step in and take over as lead developer, basically flipping this year's Call of Duty into maybe either Black Ops 5 or a complete Black Ops reboot. We'll probably be getting the reveal of this year's Call of Duty around May and June, so look out for that then. He also says there is a Modern Warfare 2 Remastered, and again, this is something else the Gaming Revolution has sort of leaked out in the past. Now, I believe what he said about this so far is that Modern Warfare 2 Remastered is actually already made, and they're kind of just holding onto it until maybe a Call of Duty doesn't meet the deadline for a certain year, and then they can just push this out. Obviously, the original Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare Remastered did extremely well, so it would make sense that they do a remaster of Modern Warfare 2. Finally, with all the Call of Duty stuff, he says there is a free-to-play Call of Duty game from Sledgehammer Games estimated to be released in 2021. Obviously, with the success of Warzone being free-to-play, Activision wants to make another free-to-play Call of Duty experience. I think Warzone has just hit 15 million players, which I think is the fastest battle royale to actually hit that number. It has outpaced both Fortnite and Apex Legends, so this kind of just makes sense. And again, from what I believe the Gaming Revolution has already said about this game, is it's going to be sort of an open world, maybe Escape from Tarkov style game, so we'll just have to wait on that. But now we can get to the bit that you've been waiting for, the Crash Bandicoot news. So there are 2 brand new Crash Bandicoot games coming supposedly. Firstly, a brand new PvP Crash game. So that is a player versus player Crash game. Some kind of multiplayer Crash game is coming, and we'll talk about that in just a second. The other Crash game is a Crash Bandicoot The Wrath of Cortex Remastered. Now, some people might be pretty upset with this. I know a lot of the community wants a brand new, completely fresh Crash Bandicoot game, maybe taking place straight after the events of Warped, and kind of forgetting about Wrath of Cortex, Twinsanity, Mind Over Mutant, and all those games. But at the same time, it also makes sense. Wrath of Cortex had a lot of cool levels, it had a cool story. It's a way for them to reintroduce characters like Crunch, as well as the elemental masks, back into sort of the main storyline of Crash Bandicoot. The cutscenes in Wrath of Cortex were probably, dare I say it, the worst cutscenes in any Crash Bandicoot game. So it would be nice to see those remastered. They could certainly add some new elements into this game. I guess it doesn't have to be a straight up remastered game. Obviously in the PlayStation 4 ad last year, we saw the sort of Luna mask. Maybe they add new elements into this game like new masks, maybe some new characters, new cutscenes, maybe new levels. I think they could do something really cool with Wrath of Cortex to make it feel like a brand new game. Now obviously when we got the Insane Trilogy, that was like 3 separate games in one, so I feel like they would have to do something to flesh the Wrath of Cortex out to be a full-fledged game, unless maybe they're not going for that. Now the Gaming Revolution then followed up this information with some extra stuff saying this: the Crash 4 Wrath of Cortex Remaster is expected to be the next big Activision game to release. And that tells us quite a few things, because I think most of us had kind of assumed we wouldn't be seeing a Crash game this year. We would probably have seen it already announced by now, and we'd assumed it would probably be coming out in June, July, because that's when Nitro Fueled came out and that's when the Insane Trilogy came out, and those both sold really well in that time period. However, if what the Gaming Revolution is saying here is indeed correct, that means it's going to be coming out fairly soon, because we know the usual big game for Activision is indeed Call of Duty, that releases around October, November. So we could be seeing Wrath of Cortex be announced very, very soon, maybe in the next month or two, with either a surprise release in June, July, or maybe a little bit later this year in a August, September spot. It's going to be very interesting to see. He also gives us an update on that PvP Crash game. He says the game is still in its early days and is expected to release in 2021, although that could indeed change. He says it will also be available on console and PC, as well as mobile. Now we know that a Crash Bandicoot mobile game is in development. I did a video on that a couple of weeks ago. If you want to check that out, link in the description or in the top right hand corner now. And it makes sense for Activision to kind of want to diversify their portfolio and put as many things on as many platforms as possible. But as to what this PvP Crash game could be, well, I would expect it to be a remake of Crash Bash, but with the Nitro Fueled treatment. Maybe, as I've been calling it for a while now, a Crash Bash Boom Bang. Crash Bash, but with a ton more levels and mini games. Maybe they completely restructure how the campaign works. Maybe they do it as more of a Mario Party minigame kind of game, add in a load of characters, give us proper cutscenes, a proper campaign. I think something like that could be pretty fun. The other ideas for what a PvP Crash game could be is maybe some sort of hero shooter brawler. That would be a little bit weird, but it's certainly possible. Or maybe we get some sort of 2D platform fighter. Think Smash Bros, but with all the characters from the Crash Bandicoot universe. Obviously, these are just a few ideas for what a PvP Crash game could be. I think the safe bet is indeed Crash Bash, but if you have any ideas for what you'd like to see for a brand new Crash PvP game, then let me know in the comments below. I certainly don't think it's going to be a brand new kart racing game that soon. I did do a video last week though, talking about what I think a Nitro Fueled 2 could look like if we do ever get one, and if we do get a brand new Crash kart racing game, I think it's probably going to be a few more years away. This then brings up the question, because we've got all this brand new information, where is Spyro? I would have thought we'd see some information here about Spyro if it is indeed on Activision's slate of games, which means we might not be seeing a brand new Spyro game until 2021 or perhaps even 2022. So there you have it, in quote marks, that is the leaked information at the moment. We're going to be getting a brand new remastered version of the Wrath of Cortex, and then a PvP Crash Bandicoot game next year, which, to be honest, I'm actually pretty excited about. Depending on what it is and who the developer is, it could be really fun. So in the comments below, let me know what you think. Are you excited to see a Wrath of Cortex remaster? Would you prefer to see a completely brand new Crash game? If it is indeed a Wrath of Cortex remaster, would you want them to stick exactly to what the original game was, or would you like them to add new elements to flesh that game out and to make it something a little bit more? Also, what do you think about a brand new multiplayer Crash game coming out next year? What would you like to see it be? Would you want it to be a Crash Bash remaster? Would you like it to be something like I mentioned, where it's kind of Crash Bash getting the nitro fuel treatment? Or would you like it to be something completely different? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below and we can discuss. Just like at the beginning though, if you did enjoy this video, then click the like button. If you're not already, subscribe and make sure you tap that bell icon to be updated on when my future videos go live. As soon as we get any more information about any of these upcoming Crash Bandicoot games, or indeed that brand new Tony Hawk's Pro Skater game, I'll be sure to cover it right here on the channel because I'm very excited to see what comes next. Also, feel free to join our Discord server. There's a link in the description below. We got a nice little community there who chat about Crash Bandicoot as well as a ton of other games. So if you want to come join, head on over and hopefully we'll see you over there. Also, feel free to follow me over on Twitter at @IamMisterBo. Link to that in the description below to stay updated with me and everything going on with the channel. But thank you very much for watching and for hanging out, and hopefully I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.